Eli had always been a naturally inquisitive person, but nothing had prepared him for the emotions that stirred when Kelly moved in next door. At 48, she possessed a refined beauty, her elegance accentuated by a maturity that held its own allure. Her dark hair cascaded down her back, and her presence carried a mix of confidence and vulnerability that drew Eli in from the moment she arrived. As the days went by, Eli began noticing more about Kelly. She often sat on her porch, gazing into the distance, as though lost in her thoughts. Sometimes she would glance at her phone, but no messages ever seemed to come through. It was as if she was waiting for something, or someone to fill the emptiness in her life. Eli gathered from neighborhood gossip that Kelly had recently been through a tough divorce, leaving her alone in a spacious home full of memories. One humid summer night, as the sun sank below the horizon and the sky filled with shades of pink and orange, Eli found himself by his bedroom window. The warm breeze drifted in, carrying the fragrance of blooming flowers. He had intended to read a book, but his attention kept drifting to Kelly's window. The curtain was slightly open, and he felt that familiar pull of curiosity. Eli leaned closer, his heartbeat quickening. He knew he shouldn't watch, he knew it was wrong, but he couldn't help himself. He was captivated by Kelly, drawn to the vulnerability that lay beneath her composed exterior. Suddenly the light in her room flickered on, revealing her silhouette as she stood in front of her dresser. Eli's breath caught when he realized she was about to change. As Kelly began to undress, he felt a wave of warmth rush to his cheeks. She slid off her blouse, revealing smooth, sun-kissed skin that glowed in the dim light. Eli's pulse quickened. He felt both guilty and mesmerized by her unguarded presence. She moved with a natural grace, her shadow casting a beguiling outline against the window, sending chills down his spine. For a moment he hesitated, battling the urge to turn away, but Kelly seemed oblivious to his gaze, lost in her own thoughts as she rummaged through her closet. She slipped into a fitted tank top that accentuated her curves, and Eli felt a tug in his chest, a blend of longing and empathy. She appeared so isolated, so alone, within her beautiful home. As he watched, Kelly continued moving around her room, occasionally catching glimpses of her reflection in the mirror, a trace of sadness lingering in her expression. It struck Eli then that she wasn't just an attractive woman, she was someone yearning for connection, her heart aching for companionship. He felt a sudden urge to reach out, to close the distance that separated them. Her image lingered in his thoughts long after the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving him restless in bed, unable to shake the feeling that he needed to do something. Determined, Eli decided to take a chance the next day. As he walked by her house, he paused, gathering the nerve to knock on her door. His heart raced as he stood there, hand hovering over the doorbell. Just as he considered leaving, the door swung open, revealing Kelly with a warm, welcoming smile. "Eli, what a surprise," she greeted, her voice gentle and inviting. She wore a simple sundress that highlighted her figure, making Eli momentarily lose his breath. "Hi, Kelly," he responded, attempting to hide his nerves. "I thought I'd drop by to check in on you, see how you're doing." "That's very thoughtful of you. Why don't you come in?" she offered, stepping aside to let him enter. Eli walked into her home, the scent of lavender filling the space. The living room was elegantly furnished, with plush sofas and framed family photos hinting at a past filled with joy. As Kelly poured them each a glass of iced tea, Eli sensed a growing closeness between them. Their conversation flowed naturally, filled with stories and laughter that made Eli feel a connection forming with every shared smile. He noticed a shift in Kelly's expression, the sadness in her eyes softening, replaced by a glimmer of happiness. "So, what do you do for fun?" Eli Kelly asked, her gaze steady on his, making him feel seen in a way he hadn't in a long time. "I like to paint," Eli admitted shyly. "It helps me express my feelings. I even have a little studio in my room." "Really? I'd love to see your work sometime," Kelly replied, her eyes lighting up with genuine interest. "Art has a way of bringing people together, doesn't it?" Eli nodded, warmth spreading through him. "Yeah, it really does." As the conversation deepened, Eli found himself repeatedly drawn to her delicate hands, each gesture full of grace. Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue that enveloped them in a cozy light. At that moment, Eli decided to take a risk. He reached out, gently placing his hand over hers. "Kelly, I can't help but think you deserve happiness," he said softly, his pulse quickening. "You're an incredible person, and I want to be here for you." Kelly's eyes widened in surprise, but then she offered a soft smile, a warmth spreading across her face. "Ely, you're so kind. I wasn't expecting this, but it means a lot to me." Encouraged by her response, Ely leaned in, closing the distance between them until their faces were just inches apart. "Can I kiss you?" he whispered, his voice barely more than a breath, his heart racing. Claire paused for a brief moment, then nodded, her breath catching in anticipation. Ely moved closer, pressing his lips gently against hers in a tentative kiss. It began softly, as if asking a question in the stillness of the room, but when Claire responded, deepening the kiss, a wave of warmth surged through Ely. They became lost in that kiss, a blend of longing and tenderness enveloping them as they embraced the moment. Ely felt a joy he'd never known, as if they were finally breaking through the barriers that had kept them apart for so long. When they eventually pulled back, breathless, Ely looked into Claire's eyes and saw a glimmer of hope. "I want to be someone you can lean on," he said softly. "You're not alone anymore." Claire smiled, a tear shimmering in her eye. "I never thought I'd feel this way again. Thank you for being here, Ely." Days blended into weeks, and their connection grew stronger with each passing moment. Ely became a constant presence in Claire's life, spending afternoons together, sharing stories and exploring their emotions. They found solace in each other, each kiss sparking a connection that drew them even closer. One rainy afternoon, they were curled up together on Claire's couch, wrapped in a cozy blanket, while a romantic movie played on the screen. The gentle patter of rain against the window created a warm atmosphere, and Ely glanced at Claire, who was absorbed in the film. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Ely said, turning toward her. "Of course." "What's on your mind?" Claire replied, her eyes bright with curiosity. "What do you miss the most about being in a relationship?" he asked, his tone gentle, hoping to understand her more deeply. Claire's expression softened as she considered his question. "I miss the little things," she began, "the shared laughter, the quiet moments, and the feeling of being wanted. It's easy to forget you're not alone when there's someone who truly cares." Ely's heart ached at her words, sensing the depth of her loneliness. "I can't imagine how difficult that must be," he replied softly. "But I want you to know you're not alone anymore. I'm here for you." Claire looked at him with eyes full of gratitude. "You don't know how much that means to me, Ely. You've brought so much light into my life." Their conversation grew more intimate as they shared their hopes and fears. Ely reached out, entwining his fingers with hers, each gentle squeeze building a deeper bond between them, one that went beyond their age difference. As the movie played on, Ely turned to Claire, leaning in closer. "Can I kiss you again?" he asked, his voice a low murmur. Claire's smile widened, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "Yes, please," she whispered, meeting him halfway. Their lips met again, this time with greater urgency, a blend of passion and tenderness. Ely wrapped his arms around Claire, drawing her closer as they melted into each other. The kiss deepened, exploring the uncharted depths of their desires, and Ely could feel the heat between them intensifying. When they finally pulled apart, breathless and smiling, Claire rested her forehead against his. "You make me feel alive again, Ely," she confessed softly. "I feel the same way," Ely replied, his heart swelling with emotion. "Being with you is everything I didn't know I was missing." As weeks turned into months, their relationship flourished. They spent lazy afternoons painting together in Ely's room, where Claire guided his strokes, teaching him to express himself through art. Ely found joy in the simple act of creating alongside Claire, her laughter echoing in the room, filling the space with warmth and love. Their playful exchanges often led to unexpected moments of closeness as they shared stories about their pasts, their dreams, and their future aspirations. One sunny afternoon, while they painted, Ely glanced over at Claire, her brow furrowed in concentration as she carefully added details to her canvas. A sudden urge struck him, and he set his brush aside. "Hey, how about we take a break and go for a walk?" he suggested, eager to share more time with her. Claire looked up, her face brightening with enthusiasm. "That sounds perfect. I could use some fresh air." They strolled through the nearby park, sunlight filtering through the leaves and creating dappled patterns on the path. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by laughter and shared moments. Ely's heart soared with each smile, each gentle touch as their hands brushed together while walking. Eventually they discovered a secluded spot beneath a large oak tree, its sprawling branches casting a cool shade over the soft grass, inviting them to sit. They settled down side by side, embracing the tranquility of the moment. Kiei leaned back against the tree, closing her eyes as she soaked in the sun. Eli gazed at Kiei, captivated by her beauty and grateful for the moments they had shared. After a while, he couldn't resist any longer. He reached out, gently tucking a loose strand of her hair behind her ear, his fingers brushing against her cheek. Kiei opened her eyes, a playful smile spreading across her face. "What was that for?" she asked, a teasing twinkle in her eyes. "Just because," Eli replied, feeling warmth bloom inside him. "You deserve to be appreciated." "You're so good with words," Eli Kiei said softly, holding his gaze. "I'm so glad you're in my life." As if pulled together by an unseen force, they leaned closer, and Eli's heart pounded as he pressed his lips to hers in a soft, lingering kiss. Kiei's eyes fluttered shut as she responded, deepening the kiss. Eli felt a warmth envelop them, a sweet connection that wrapped them in a bubble of pure happiness. When they finally pulled away, breathless, they grinned at each other, Eli's heart racing with exhilaration, mirrored by the joy in Kiei's eyes. "I've never felt like this before," he admitted, feeling vulnerable yet open. "You make me feel alive." Kiei nodded, her expression softening. "You've brought joy back into my life, Eli. I didn't think I could feel this way again after everything." Their eyes met, and they both realized they had crossed a significant threshold. The bond they shared had become deeper than either had anticipated. As days turned into weeks, they continued exploring their feelings, spending countless evenings wrapped in each other's arms, sharing kisses that grew more passionate each time. With every kiss, Eli felt as though he was uncovering new layers of Kiei's soul, aspects of her she had kept hidden for so long. One evening, after a delightful dinner at a cozy restaurant, they returned to Kiei's home. The atmosphere buzzed with unspoken desires as they settled on the couch, the room bathed in the warm glow of a lamp that created an intimate ambience. Kiei leaned closer, her fingers tracing soft patterns on Eli's knee. "I've never felt this close to anyone before," she murmured, her voice barely audible. Eli felt a thrill shoot through him. "Neither have I," he confessed. "You mean so much to me, Kiei." With those words, he leaned in, capturing her lips in a kiss that released the passion they had been holding back. Their kisses grew more urgent, more intense, as if they were trying to communicate all the feelings they had kept buried. Eli's hands moved to Kiei's waist, pulling her closer until he could feel her warmth pressing against him, sending waves of desire through his body. Kiei responded eagerly, deepening the kiss, her fingers tangling in his hair, as if she feared letting go. The world outside vanished, leaving only the two of them, wrapped in each other's embrace. Eli's hands traveled up her back, feeling the smoothness of her skin beneath her clothing, savoring every touch, every kiss. When they finally broke apart, gasping for air, Kiei gazed into Eli's eyes, a blend of desire and tenderness in her expression. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, her voice unsteady, yet filled with yearning. "I've never been more certain," Eli replied, his voice steady and sincere. "I want you, Kiei, all of you." With a soft smile and a sparkle in her eyes, Kiei nodded. "Then let's take it slow," she suggested, her voice laced with both excitement and nervousness. "I want to savor this with you." They exchanged a knowing smile, the anticipation almost tangible as they began exploring the depths of their connection. Their kiss resumed, and Eli felt as if he was dissolving into Kiei, each kiss an invitation to go deeper, to share more of themselves. Over the following weeks, Eli and Kiei took their time, building a foundation grounded in trust and closeness. They spent evenings watching movies, hands intertwined, whispering sweet words in the soft glow of the TV. They shared their dreams and fears, creating a safe space where their hearts could be open to one another. One evening, as the sun set outside, casting a golden hue through Kiei's living room, they curled up on the couch, watching a romantic movie. As the characters on screen shared a passionate kiss, Eli turned to Kiei, his heart full of tenderness. "Do you think we could ever be like that?" he asked, his tone a mix of playfulness and sincerity. Kiei smiled, her eyes twinkling. "I think we already are. We just have to keep nurturing it." Encouraged by her words, Eli leaned in, capturing her lips again, the kiss deepening as they lost themselves in each other. The passion that flared between them felt electric, and Eli felt truly alive with each caress, each gentle touch. In the weeks that followed, their relationship blossomed into something beautiful. They embarked on spontaneous outings, explored nearby towns, and danced in the kitchen to their favorite songs. With each passing moment, Eli's feelings for Kiale deepened, filling his heart with joy. One evening, they found themselves at the beach, the waves lapping gently at the shore as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vivid shades of orange and pink. It was a picture-perfect moment, and Eli took Kiale's hand, pulling her closer as they walked along the sand. "Clea," he began, pausing to look into her eyes. "I never thought I'd find someone like you. You've brought so much happiness into my life." Tears glistened in Kiale's eyes as she smiled. "Eli, you've changed my life in ways I can't describe. You make me feel young and loved again." Overcome with emotion, Eli leaned in, capturing her lips in a tender kiss. The world around them blurred, and for that moment, they were the only two souls that mattered. When they finally pulled away, Kiale wrapped her arms around him, resting her head on his shoulder. "Promise me we'll never lose this connection," she whispered. "Never," Eli vowed, holding her close. "You mean everything to me." In the months that followed, their bond only grew stronger. They faced life's challenges together, offering each other support during tough times and celebrating victories side by side. Kiale felt a newfound lightness, the burden of her past lifting as Eli filled her days with laughter and love. One night, as they lay together beneath a sky full of stars, Eli turned to Kiale, a serious look on his face. "Can I ask you something?" he said gently. "Of course," she replied, her heart quickening. "Where do you see us going?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Kiale took a deep breath, considering his question. "I see us growing together, building a future filled with love and joy. I've never felt this way about anyone before, Eli." Eli smiled, a surge of hope flooding through him. "I feel the same. I want to build a life with you." They leaned in for another kiss, and in that moment, the world outside faded away, leaving just the two of them and the deep bond they had forged. Through each kiss, every tender touch, and every shared laugh, Eli and Kiale discovered a love that brought them healing, happiness, and a sense of belonging they hadn't known before.